47, Poe. We live on the 7th floor. We slowly get used to the magical food, the nurses and doctors, the sunlight through the window, the clouds, the sky, the seagulls, and the rooftops. The second week, the police come. They come every day and talk for a little while. Do you know why Mom and Dad kept you locked in the basement? Asked the policeman in the corduroy jacket. No. How was it down there? Freezing? Hungry? We had school, Lisa, says Lisa, and Ada, who is sitting on Lisa's bed, begins to describe what school was like in the basement. We read the books we had and had interrogations, taught the little ones. Police officers make notes in their notebooks. What did Dad and Mom do when they came down to the basement? The Wilson sisters meet this questioning gaze with eyes wide and deep. Only Ada can answer anything. Then he took us to the darkness. The officer makes a note in his notebook and sighs before leaving. The next day, a female police officer comes instead of the male one. She comes the next day and the next again, and my sisters tell her everything they remember, reporting the events as in a long and difficult movie we had been forced to watch. After they tell the policewoman, they have nightmares and fight, cry and scream in their sleep, and nurses come with blankets and pillows and juice to comfort them. But I, Bo, lie very still in my bed and look up at the ceiling. The nightmare in the basement. For nearly 6 years, the 9 sisters were held captive in the basement by their own parents. They are monsters, is the general opinion in the small town where the macabre detention took place. The mother and father are now in separate custody, awaiting trial. The daughters have been hospitalized in an isolated ward since the release. Their caregivers report that they are all recovering. All of them suffered from severe malnutrition and osteoporosis after the prolonged isolation without sunlight. They were all in a dangerously depleted state and all look many years younger than they are, as they have not been able to grow normally. The sisters have been able to tell the police about the crimes they were subjected to in the basement by their father. The incestuous abuse is said to have been going on since the eldest girl was young and has now resulted in 2 children, a number of terminated pregnancies, and 1 ongoing pregnancy. It is difficult to understand this kind of cruelty, reads the police statement. The sisters are recovering and health professionals are hopeful. They are currently discussing what kind of resources to put in place to best help the sisters return to life and society. 11-year-old Lydia, who was in critical condition when she was taken to the hospital, has now been reunited with her sisters and is recovering. We received the news that Lisa is 3 months pregnant in the same stream of new impressions that now flood us. Without feeling too much, while the impressions are stored in our minds. Our kind nurses help Esther to get up and walk after the hysterectomy. Esther holds on tightly to her nurse as she carefully shuffles along, dressed in the white hospital gown and booties. A social worker comes to visit us, and she sits on Eva's bed and talks about Michael and Mim. They agree that it's best to wait a bit until the sisters have settled down and become more comfortable before we can meet Eva's children. Judith stands by the windowsill for hours. She takes in everything her eyes see repeatedly, They learn to see more than concrete. The doctors examine Miriam and they take her down for an x-ray, followed by the one nurse that Miriam has become particularly fond of. She will get a splint to help her bones grow strong and straight again. A physiotherapist comes up to us and shows us exercises. Fresh air and exercise, she exclaims. She has brought some gymnastic mattresses for Judith and Naomi to do somersaults on. I lie still in my bed while my vertebrae heal. Different doctors come and test my reflexes, bending and twisting my legs. They don't know if I will be able to walk again, talk again. Maybe the vocal cords are damaged, or my throat is still too swollen, or the brain has been permanently damaged. We'll see if she starts talking again, says the doctors. My body is replenished with something yellow nutrition. Hybo. The third week we have visitors. They are teachers and classmates who knew my sisters. They come with flowers and teddy bears. They say they are so happy to see us, so happy that we are alive. Esther's and Ada's old classmates are adults now, 18 and 20 years old. Will we start school? Ada asks. I don't know. I don't want to, Esther mumbles. Our doctor, Dr. Odenfeld, comes to tell us that plans are being made for us to leave the hospital soon. They have rented a house here in Helsingborg just for us, and we will have our own staff there. Some of you know two of the carers who will take turns living with you in your house. Lena Andersson and Pia Nyman. Do you recognize those names? The ladies. Lena with blonde hair and Pia with curly dark hair, and they come up to the 7th floor to greet us. Hello, hello, says Lena as she enters our department. Pia smiles broadly. Judith, followed by Naomi, now dressed in sweatsuits instead of hospital scrubs, come tiptoeing. The nurses have given us haircuts. The little ones have bangs to keep our hair out of our eyes. Hello there, Lena says to Judith. I don't think we met, but I've certainly met you, she says to Naomi. I almost have to give you a hug, can I? Pia and Lena greet each sister kindly. Esther gets a big hug from Lena and then a hug from Pia too. Then the ladies come over to my bed. Their happy eyes beam kindly at me, but they are filled with tears. My dear, I'm so happy to see you, says Pia. We will take care of you now, says Lena. Then they describe the house, which has 5 bedrooms and a large downstairs with a study where Pia, Lena, and other staff will sleep. There's a garden with a climbing frame and swings, and a lot of people have collected money for clothes, furniture, and toys for us. It sounds strange. Somehow we want to stay on the 7th floor forever, where everything is over and nothing new has started yet, where we can just be. But it's hard to explain to all the good doctors and all the good nurses and all the good ladies here who all want so much for us that things take time. "48 Bow. The house we live in is a large yellow stone house in a normal residential street. No children have been kept in the basement here. We move in together with the ladies. The neighbors are scared. Parents have told their children not to disturb, but the children peek through the gaps in the fence. The house has 2 floors. On the ground floor, there's a dining room that will be our schoolroom, a kitchen and living room, and an office, all furnished with new furniture with simple cuts, carpets and textiles, and wood paneled walls. Inside the office, the ladies prepare a neat little nest for themselves, each with a bed and a dresser. Upstairs, there are 5 bedrooms for the Wilson sisters. The front of the garden faces the street, but the back is protected from you by the garage, the wall of the house, and the fence with the hedge bushes. There we have a climbing frame, sandpit, and swings. Bo was taken by ambulance to the new house, and one of our nurses has come to stay with us during our first week to take care of me. Bo is not allowed to get up. The only thing I do is breathe, in and then out again. I look around the house. I have my bed in the living room while my back heals. The nurse lady is sleeping on a bed there with Bo. She carries me gently up the stairs so I can see what it looks like. Upstairs, Eva lives in one of the rooms, and there's a bunk bed for Michael and Mim in addition to her new, comfortable bed. And next to Eva, a room has been prepared for Lisa and the twins she is carrying. She is already 4 months pregnant. Lisa soon storms out of her room and chases after the younger ones, finally crawling into the bottom bunk in Eva's room, where she defiantly curls up. Esther and Ada live together, Adina and Naomi as well, and then Miriam and Judith in the 5th bedroom. The rooms are full of dolls' houses, dolls' carriages, cuddly toys, and rocking horses. The ladies show us, look, each one has their own bed where they will sleep, but sisters want to sleep together. We have a large bathroom upstairs with a mint green bathtub, shower, nice new bathroom mats, and soft towels. We also have an alcove with a striped corner sofa and a TV, and the nurse tucks Bo in with a blanket in front of the children's shows and leave me there. Then the sisters come and they talk low so that the ladies can hear what they say. Esther is kneeling on the sofa with her legs folded under her. She looks clean and rosy, but still 14, not 20. As if no amount of time has passed, just one long night with a terrifying dream that no one will ever understand. They want to help us, says Esther. I wish they would leave us alone for a while, says Eva, massaging her forehead. It doesn't feel like our house, says Adina. Nothing is ours. But think of Judith and Miriam, says Eva. They've got toys to play with and their own swing set outside. They are just trying to fool them, Lisa replies. But we have to listen to what they say. The doctors know best, says Eva, who has her children in mind, to meet Michael and Mim. The TV is blaring and flickering, and Lena's footsteps can be heard in the stairs. She shows herself. I'm going to make tea. Anyone want? She says. The sisters look at her with skepticism and suspicion. The next morning, I, Bo, am lying in bed in the strange living room, and Adina is leaning against the sofa cushions with her knees drawn up to her chin, her eyes resting on the window glass. Unlike her sisters, Adina's mind is filled with hope. When this is over, when you are well, Bo, I will leave. I'll cut my hair and get some cool clothes, and I'll call myself Loki. Ever since Adina heard about the clothes people were collecting for the sisters, she had been dreaming about jeans and corduroy pants, shirts and sweaters, maybe a leather jacket. She had dreamt about it at night on the 7th floor of the hospital. Imprisonment means two things for Adina: the concrete box and the body. Freedom also means two things: fresh air and identity. When she looked in her wardrobe upstairs, she saw dresses and blouses. She didn't know why she reacted the way she did, but after burying her face in the pillow and crying for a while, she swore out loud and started planning for the future. She's going out and away. Ada enters the room. She is thin and wearing flared dark green pants and a black polo shirt. Ada is just the middle sister. It's always been that way. Not one of the cute ones, she thinks. Not small, the ones the ladies lift up onto their laps. Not big, the ones the ladies advise. Ada sits next to Adina on the sofa and looks around the living room appreciatively. She likes the house and the clean clothes, the nice furniture. She turns around and blinks in the light coming through the curtains at Adina, who looks back seriously. What are you doing? Adina shrugs her shoulders. Do you have to like everything just because you're not in the basement? Ada smiles ruefully. Stop sulking, it's selfish. I must feel what I feel. Ada shrugs her shoulders. Yes, all sisters feel. Everything is so different now from the way it used to be. Lena's smile and Pia's protective arm around the shoulders are incomprehensible and impossible for the sisters to interpret. What do they want? And it's the same with the psychologist lady. We have forgotten how to be human. The sisters try, help with the food, clean up, sit by as ladies read out loud to Bo. The days pass, carefully and tentatively. Ada takes a liking to the teacher, Birgitta, who comes to give us tests and evaluate. And when Lena takes them to the dentist, they squeeze her hand tightly as Dr. Bengtsson examines each sister's teeth one by one. Chapter 47 and 48 comments. This is a fictional passage. I have encountered kind-hearted people both during my childhood and as an adult, of course. They have all been so invaluable over the years as I have struggled first with my abusers and then with trauma and DID. They have been part of my healing process simply by existing. They are there as I step away from the war zone, even though it's hard to believe I deserve their kindness and support. Other people are too preoccupied with power, which make them blind and deaf. I am leaving those interactions behind. Adina embodies an important part of my personality, namely gender identity. My other sub-personalities were created through trauma. There wasn't any opportunity for them to reflect on gender identity, but when I asked them, they still had little to say on the matter. However, gender identity was not decisive for my sub-personalities. Incidentally, they came into being during a crisis. I didn't create any dramatic characters like an English lord or a French dancer. There was no time or space for that, or perhaps I simply lacked the imagination or interest. My parts harbor painful feelings and heavy burdens rather than character traits, even though one is determined, another sensitive, one playful, and another practical. I developed gender dysphoria as a teenager, but didn't know what it was called or what it was. My body just felt wrong and caused me anxiety. I dressed in men's shirts. Before my teenage years, I was just a child, neither very boyish nor very girlish, but somewhere in between, although I preferred jeans to bows. As a young adult, I just wanted to be normal, and it wasn't until I was 30, after I'd started to recognize and work through my DAD, that the urge to express myself as a man became tangible. But even though I wanted to be a man, I didn't trust men. Men were dangerous. It took me 10 years to seek help for these feelings, and I received wonderful support in doing so and met trans people for the first time. Since I received my gender dysphoria diagnosis 8 years ago, it's been a straight path. I am a man. My gender identity and the fact that I am a transgender person have nothing to do with my childhood trauma or DID, but are simply how I was born and who I am meant to be.